Welcome to the City of Affliction, kid. You're gonna love it here.
Hello, and welcome to Predicting Chaos. My name is Tyler. I'm the Dungeon Master for the campaign. We're just starting a new campaign called Reintarnation. It is a high fantasy campaign with a Western spin on it. And it's going to take place in the City of Affliction, which I will show you right now. So the City of Affliction is in the midst of a vast desert, north of a mountain range of volcanoes, where the ash is spewed up into the air. All you can see to the south are dark clouds. But here in Affliction, clouds don't really reach here for some reason. There are a few key areas in Affliction. We're going to start from the bottom and go to the top. So the entrance to Affliction is right around the town of Swedgen. Swedgen is in the lowest part of the plateau, right by the bottom part that goes straight into the desert. So if you manage to brave the desert and make it to Affliction, good on you, but you're not out of the woods yet. Swedgen is amongst the poorest of the communities in Affliction. The Jewel, which is right in the northern part, right up against the wall for the second plateau, is where you get all of your entertainment. If you live in Swedgen, you want entertainment, you want some kind of escape. That's where you go is the Jewel. All entertainment, alcohol, substances, anything you might need, you go right there. The Low Sheriff is in control of governing Swedgen, making sure that nobody breaks the law, but is also in charge of the affairs of Corpse Town. Corpse Town is where you rise from the dead if you die in Affliction. It's the other thing about Affliction. If you die, the next day you rise. Your body vanishes, and you appear as an afflicted, is what they call them. You're basically yourself. You wake up, your skin's a little more pale, cheeks are a little more sunken in, and your eyes are red. Sometimes they glow, sometimes they don't, but they're always red. The border between Corpse Town and the rest of Affliction is here, right in between Corpse Town and the Low Sheriff's barracks, the walls of Wu Crunlow. Now, Wu Crunlow was a Crunlow. This city is ruled by a family called the Crunlows. Wu Crunlow was the leader of House Crunlow for a bit and decided to build a wall between Corpse Town and the rest of Affliction. And this was for the safety of everyone, not just those in Corpse Town, but everybody in Affliction. Because every day that the sun rises, if you are an afflicted, you need to make a wisdom save in the D&D mechanics. Very low DC, might be 5 or 6, and you can pass it very easily, but nobody passes anything forever. And when you fail, you lose your mind. You become a true zombie, a mindless killing machine. And when that happens, the citizens of Corpse Town have decided to take care of things internally. They believe that they don't want the living and the dead to suffer each other. And when your mind is gone, when you've turned, or when you've gone feral, as they say in Corpse Town, the rest of the citizens of Corpse Town will gently usher you toward the Gate of Rest. The Gate of Rest is a ceremonial gateway that they built in Corpse Town that leads to a very large fissure that opened up right outside of the walls, outside of the plateau of Affliction. And that is where you are escorted, and you are sent to enjoy your eternal rest after your soul has truly left your body. What else is in Corpse Town? The Church of the Living! I don't want to spoil too many things, because that's going to be really important in the campaign, but It is the only form of religion that an afflicted has in Corpse Town. It's what they need. But we will get into that in the campaign. Stay tuned for that. Moving up, we have the Dust Bridge. The Dust Bridge connects Swedgen to the Upper Plateau. It was recently built. There is a small on-ramp to one of the plateaus that are on the same level as the high plateau, and so they decided, let's just build a bridge. It just makes it easier. You don't have to go all the way around the plateau. It's a very New York mindset. I'm a New Yorker. We value cutting our time in half, so that's my little love letter to home. Moving up, we have the Bullocks. So the Bullocks are the, I would say the mid-tier of society. People that have moved up from Swedgen, but don't quite want to live in the thoroughfare yet. You'll find that the Bullocks are... Most people commute from there to go up to the thoroughfare to work, or to go down to Swedgen to work. But the Bullocks are most known for EB's Exchange. At EB's Exchange, EB is a wizard that can transmute things. So typically, you'll bring a service to EB, and he will turn it into something else. You bring in a good, he'll turn it into something else for services rendered, or for money. The other important thing, right above EB's Exchange, right above the Bullocks, and outside of the thoroughfare is the Hive. There are giant insects that live pretty far deep beneath Affliction. They're called Ankeg. It's one of the older D&D monsters. Think of them as giant ants that can spit acid. By giant, I mean they're about the size of a horse, I'd say. The Bullocks are known for their Ankeg hunters. There are some families in the Bullocks that like to go down into the Hive, because food is pretty scarce. I don't know if you noticed, but Affliction's in the middle of a desert. They go down into the Hive, kill an Ankeg, haul its body back up, cook it and eat it. You can fetch a pretty large price for an Ankeg. Because they're huge. Ton of meat on them bones. You can feed a family for weeks on a single Ankeg. So people will go down, and there's millions of them down there. People will go down, kill an Ankeg, bring it up. That's their living. They'll bring it to EB's, trade it in for some water, or something like that. And the best thing is, if you die down there, you just reappear in Corpse Town. So, it's not quite a win-win, but at least you don't stay down there if things go wrong. Moving up to the thoroughfare, we have the wealthier part of Affliction. This is the more industrious part. This is where all of the inquisitive minds go when they want to make a name for themselves. The High Sheriff is, I don't want to say in the heart of the thoroughfare, but it's in the thoroughfare. High Sheriff takes care of everything on the top plateau. Neither sheriff has jurisdiction over the Bullocks, but there isn't really much going on there anyway, so that's typically A-okay with them. The High Sheriff answers directly to the Crunlows, who are on the northernmost plateau. If you want almost anything, you go to the Soul Star. Soul Star is essentially the jewel of the thoroughfare, where you can get drinks, you can get pretty good food, but most importantly, the Soul Star is a giant corridor that's just lined with shops, a big bazaar full of different products, different people crying out their wares all the time. It's open 24 hours a day, so if you live near the Soul Star, you're not going to have a good time. But Soul Star is where you go if you want something. Now, if there's something that you want that is a little off the beaten path, you go to Al's. Al's is the place that you go where everyone else turns a blind eye. And it's where a lot of the gambling dens are. It's where you'll find a lot of people passed out. That's Al's. Moving up, the gates of Cass Crunlow. Cass Crunlow is the most recent Crunlow leader before the one that we have currently. Cass Crunlow built these gates mostly just in case something happened. The Crunlows have become very paranoid over the years, mostly because a lot of people in their city become zombies when they die. But he built the gates, and things are okay right now. Right behind the gates, we have the God's Tower. Something else interesting about Affliction is that the gods have abandoned them. You won't find any clerics, you won't find any paladins, you won't find any holy people really at all, because cleric spells don't work in Affliction. Paladins can't smite in Affliction. No one knows why, but the gods either cannot or will not listen to prayers or grant spells to anyone living in Affliction. Thus they made the temple. The temple is not devoted to a single god, but to all gods. There are different levels for each god, for each alignment of god. It is the most well-kept building in the entire city. And some people say that's because people are they're keeping it pristine in the hopes that the gods will one day return and be happy that they still have a temple somewhere. Some people think that it's out of some mad obligation, some kind of tradition. But I like to think it's the former. Moving up to the very center of Affliction, the beating heart of the city, is the Grove. The Grove is the only spot of green in the entire desert, let alone the city. It's run by a clan of elves, very, very, very small clan, called the Thalian family. Now, the Thalians are druids. Their daughter is a ranger. You will meet her. She is one of the players in the game. But the Thalians are a couple of druids. They spend all of their spells every single day just regrowing food, creating water, and tending to their gardens and their fields and their farms. The Thalians provide the food for the entirety of the thoroughfare and beyond. However, if you get past the thoroughfare, food becomes a little more expensive. That's where the hive comes in. That's where you can go onkeg diving, and perhaps you'll get some meat. Finally, we have Crunlow Keep. Crunlow Keep is where, as you would assume, the Crunlows live. The ruling class, the ruling family of Affliction, the Crunlows. Affliction used to be named Crunlow, because it was the seat of Baron Crunlow's power. After the terrible events that caused the area to become a desert happened, it became Affliction. Once the Tarnation happened, people started rising from the dead. The Crunlows are a family of mages. Now, they don't study magic. They don't really know about the physics of it. They don't know about the weave. They don't know really much of anything as far as study goes. But they are sorcerers. They are aligned, more specifically, they are clockwork sorcerers, which means they get their powers somehow from the lawful neutral plane of Mechanus. And Mechanus is a plane that's entirely made out of gears, where everything, just gears the size of kingdoms, will slowly turn with cities and people and little robots called Modrons all over the place. That's where the Crunlows get their power. They don't even know where it started, so don't even ask. That's Affliction. I'm really excited for you all to see it. I'm really excited for you all to watch the characters live in it. Even things that aren't, and this is for any DM, even for things that aren't nailed down yet, details that I don't even know about, the players will create them as we go. And I'm really excited to watch this city blossom and to watch it become real through the players. and I'm excited for you to witness that. So thank you for watching this.